Hello guys, it's me, Liliana of Mira, and we're going to talk about the state of Elden Ring PvP and competitive scene. So, I'm not really well versed in Elden Ring PvP, and I am only well versed in the art of Dark Souls 2 and Dark Souls 3 PvP. The things that I've noticed is how mindless PvP in Elden Ring now ever since the DLC drops. So, apparently, the current meta shuts down most of the weapons the game has. If I got my intel correctly, the first thing we're going to talk about is offhand Rakshasa Great Katana. This setup consists of offhand Rakshasa with main hand Waki Sali. This setup shuts down most of the weapons in Elden Ring, except for thrusting swords and ultra great swords. And another intel is mages now are OP, or something that the only way to fight it nowadays is by using a thrusting sword. And freeze weapons are also part of the meta. And apparently there's no other counter other than, yeah, you guessed it, thrusting swords again. The new patch has also made jump setups annoying. Weapons like sword lance and light greatsword apparently was very annoying to deal with. This setup completely skipped the neutral role during a PvP fight. Unlike dual straight swords, these two weapons are unreactable. It could roll cats, or in Dark Souls 3's terms, we call it backswing. Apparently the only way to deal with these two top tier weapons is to just use thrusting swords, and no other weapons can deal with it. I guess we are done with the setups that are killing the Elden Ring PvP. Most of you probably was like, oh, good riddance, a dog-ass game finally dies? Or perhaps, wait, there's still people playing this garbage PvP? Yeah, well, I know. I am wondering that myself. Why would they subject themselves to this torture is beyond me. Okay, let's move into my brief chat with Silver, a retired tourney player of Elden Ring who recently quit the game back in October of 2024. So here I ask, was wondering what are your thoughts on this? I'ma just get some infos if you're alright with that. Like why you quit, or how the competitive scene looks like, or what kind of players playing, of course, the state of the game itself. And then Silver reply and quote, reason for quitting is more personal than anything. Sure, the game kinda sucks, and the meta is boring. But that has always been the case, and I still kept playing. I quit cause I'm unhappy with my skill level. Like even after 1.6k hours, I still can't fight against power stance, light greatsword spam, and I still get stomped in thrusting sword mirrors versus top players. Competitive scene in the past 2 or 3 months was stale, and not a lot of happening, mostly because then manager and Amira both retired. But it was getting better around the time I quit. In my opinion, state of the game is not great, but you gotta consider the fact that this is a Souls game. I can click on any YouTube video that's 8 years old and find people talking about how doomed DS3 is. I think the decline of PvP scene isn't just Elden Ring's fault. Even though the less accessible multiplayer features attribute to it somewhat, I think it's more so just that the internet is different from what it was 10 years ago. Despite all the changes, Souls combat is still archaic from another time. All the popular games that are able to retain player base have modernized mechanics, but that's fine. Souls PvP is niche. I think 10 years from now people will still play Elden Ring PvP, just a really small group of super dedicated gamers. Also, Elden Ring, at least on PC, has a big advantage, and that's community contributions. Then maps is the best thing to have ever come out of for PvP. And stuff like Emilia's inventory tool makes build knowledge much more accessible. There are also talks of major changes coming to Den maps, Den 2.0, that will include arena-like matchmaking in it. It will no doubt improve the experience of people already playing, but I'm more curious as to whether it will bring in new players to the scene. If I were to use one word to describe the state of Elden Ring's competitive scene before I left it, it will be stagnant. Most of the very top players have moved on, and we are not getting nearly enough new players actively playing. The result is that most tournaments are filled with mid-tier duelists like me, who have played this game a lot but doesn't really represent what top-level play should be like. And the few top tiers that haven't quit, Bevan, Braun, Frosty, just basically dominate every tourney they're in. We're also unsure if we will ever get another major balance patch to shake up the current meta. Right now, it is really unfun to deal with the amount of bullshit present. End quote. And that was the quote from Silver. Here it is. Buff in Bren. He was a long-time Souls tournament host and now Bren will retired. So I asked him about the state of Elden Ring PvP and competitive scene. And he replied with, quote, "Probably like 90% of the PvP players left in the first month, due to how Elden Ring was on release. That really hurt. And then we got no patches or adjustment for how the game is totally unbalanced. PS5 hasn't had any tournament or tourney players in over a year. Elden Ring only has tournaments on PC, with people playing on that seamless co-op mode. That did more harm than good. We probably lost a ton of people to leaving due to seamless co-op. Not that you could ever play vanilla anyway due to they never fixed the artificial latency. There are 2 lines of code that need to be fixed. Mid-game has always been an imbalance mess. In Dark Souls 2, power sensing was in the game and balanced. What we got in Elden Ring with it, and the jumping attacks are not balanced. And I know people that just quit due to how status works, due to latency. North America and Europe and Australia do tournaments. That's it, I think. The Japanese never did any. They all hated the game. Koreans hated it. It's like they listened to all the complaints the Reddit kids had about Dark Souls 3 and changed the game to give them what they wanted. So now the skill ceiling is so low, no one wants to play it. Same as Armor Core Fires of Rubicon. Very low skill ceiling due to casualizing the game. A top Helldivers 2 boss said, "A game made for everyone is a game made for no one. End quote. In conclusion, this game has a problematic meta for PvP where it renders all the weapons the game has unusable on competitive scene. And then lack of players playing in the competitive scene due to unfun meta playstyle, and most people do just choose to invade people with their own non-meta invasion setup. And of course, a lackluster patch that haven't fixed the major issues DLC weapon has. But as right now, competitive scene are smaller, it could be the size of Vanderlyn Gang's camp. I myself only compete once or twice for Elden Ring way back in 2023 or 2022. But I didn't really like it because most of the tourney are cross-region. Why they made it cross-region? Because there's no player base for tournament anymore. Because they were less. Or perhaps people have realized that the dream of being a pro gamers is just unrealistic, and most people get a real life job and play games casually for fun now. Which is, is already admirable. You don't need to be a top tier or rich YouTuber to play Souls PvP. You can just simply play and somehow earn the title of legend, in which, what happened to me actually. Because apparently now, I am a legend, guys. Well, does that my tarnish and ancient ones? It's very unfortunate that this happens. But maybe it was for the best, because Souls PvP was never meant to be a competitive game in the first place. And I am sure there are other competitive games for these players out there. And it doesn't need to be a Souls games. Well, thanks for watching, you guys. Make sure to subscribe, leave a like, and may the flames guide your way.